The text wouldn't stop glowing. Leave Kang Do-hyun, or you'll leave Korea in a body bag. The words sat in the center of Joyce's phone screen. Too sharp, too calm. No emojis, no mistakes, just malice. She felt her pulse in her throat. For a second, the world around her, the sleek office, the muted hum of Seoul outside, the weight of two men watching her, went muffled, like she'd been plunged underwater. Then sound rushed back in. "We need to move you," Ji-hoon said, already reaching for his own phone. "Now." "To where?" Joyce asked. Her voice didn't sound like hers. Too thin. Another hospital? A bunker? The moon? "We have a secure apartment," he said. "Short term. The security team—" "No." Both men looked at her. She gripped the phone harder, knuckles whitening. "I'm not going into hiding because someone with too much time and money doesn't like seeing us breathe the same air." "This isn't about pride," Ji-hoon said. "It's about not getting killed." "And this," she shot back, waving the phone, "is about control. They want me scared enough to disappear. I disappear. The narrative wins without a fight." "Joyce," Do-hyun said quietly, "please." The please hit harder than the threat. He was standing, but barely. The cane was at his side, forgotten, his posture too rigid for a man whose body was still relearning strength. His eyes were dark, not with fear, but with something older. Guilt layered thick. "This is my fault," he said. "My war, my family, my enemies. You were supposed to come to Seoul to build a life, not duck cars and alleys because you dragged an idiot off a bridge." She stared at him, anger and terror tangling in her chest. "Don't you dare call that version of you an idiot," she said. "He was broken, but he got a second chance." "And now that second chance is putting a target on your back," he said. "I won't." His jaw clenched. "I can't watch them hurt you for standing next to me." Ji-hoon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, face tightening. "Security is downstairs," he said. "Give us 10 minutes. They'll get you home, pack a bag, then move you to the safe location." "I don't want—" "This is not optional," Do-hyun cut in, sharper than she'd ever heard him. "You're under my protection now." Something in her snapped. "I am not a vase you get to move to a higher shelf," she said. "This is not about control," he said. "It's about keeping you alive." "And what if staying alive is more than just hiding?" she shot back. "What if it's standing where God put you even when your knees are shaking?" His eyes flickered. Ji-hoon stepped between them, hands raised. "Argue later," he said. "Right now, we get you somewhere safe. Then we plan." He didn't wait for agreement. He opened the door and gestured. Two men in dark suits waited near the elevators, earpieces visible. Not the faceless muscle of Madam Kang's security, but Kang Group's internal team. "Handpicked," Ji-hoon had said once, "from veterans and bodyguards whose loyalty was to the company, not the wife." "This is Team K3, Ji-hoon said. "Chang and Min. They answer to me. They're not hers." Chang bowed. "Ms. Cole," he said in careful English, "we will drive you. Stay near us." The reality of it hit her then. This wasn't a headline. It wasn't a dramatic script. There were actual men with actual guns about to escort her out of a building like she was cargo. She swallowed hard. "Okay," she said. "Fine, but this is temporary." She looked at Do-hyun. "This is not your decision," she told him quietly. "It's mine." Then she walked out, security at her back, fear clinging to her heels like shadows. Her apartment had never felt small before. It was tiny, objectively. One room pretending to be three, with a bed pushed against the wall, a little desk near the window, a compact kitchen in the corner. A bathroom barely big enough to turn around in, but it had been hers. Her first night there, she'd stood in the doorway with 2 suitcases and a heart full of shaky hope, and whispered, "God, please make this worth it." Now the space felt crowded with invisible eyes. Chong and Min did a sweep while she sat on the bed, clutching her worn Bible like a lifeline. "No obvious bugging devices," Min said, checking behind the TV. "Locks are standard. Windows secure." "Building security?" Chang asked. "Single guard downstairs." "Old," Min replied. "Cameras on each stair landing. Feeds go to a room by the lobby, but network is not sophisticated." "Meaning?" Joyce asked. "Meaning anyone with enough money and arrogance could hire a hacker to loop or cut them," Min said. "We will work with what we have." He spoke plainly, without drama, which somehow made it worse. Chong looked at his watch. 10 minutes, he said. "Pack essentials. We move." "I'm not going to the safe house," she said. Both men turned. "We have orders," Chang said carefully, "from Director Choi and Director Kang." "I know," she said. "You can tell them you escorted me safely home. After that, what I do is not their problem." "That's not how this works," Min said. "It's how my life works," she answered. They exchanged a look. 2 professionals suddenly faced with something more dangerous than a gun. A stubborn woman with a conscience. "You're scared," Min said bluntly. "It is normal. It is not shameful." "I am terrified," she shot back. "My hands haven't stopped shaking since that text, and I keep expecting every car that drives by to crash through my window. But being scared doesn't mean I curl into a ball and let rich people dictate my coordinates." Chong sighed. "If something happens while we are assigned to you, then you'll have done your job," she said softly, "and I'll have done mine." He frowned. "Your job is art direction." "Not just that," she said. She stood, the room tilting for a second as adrenaline and fatigue battled. She held onto the edge of the desk until the spin passed. "Give me 5 minutes alone," she said. "Then we'll talk about your orders." Chong hesitated, then nodded. "Door stays open," he said. "We'll be in the hall." They stepped out, leaving the door ajar. Her knees almost buckled with relief. She sat on the floor instead of the bed, back against the wall, Bible in her lap. It wasn't dramatic. No organ music, no tears streaking down in perfect cinematic trails. Just a woman in a too bright room, heart pounding, fingers tracing the grooves on a leather cover. "I don't know if I'm supposed to stay or go," she whispered. "I don't know if this is me being brave or me being stupid. You know I confuse those a lot. I don't want to die in a country I just met. I don't want to run either." She closed her eyes. "But I trust you more than I trust this fear," she said. "If you want me out, you can close the doors. If you want me here, give me enough peace to stand without throwing up." Silence. The hum of the refrigerator, a distant dog barking, someone laughing on the street 3 floors down. No lightning bolts, no clear voice saying, "Thus saith the Lord, thou shalt stay in Seoul and annoy chaebols." Just a slight loosening in her chest, a sense that while the path ahead was foggy, the hand that held the fog machine wasn't hers. She exhaled slowly. "Okay," she murmured. "Okay." She opened her Bible randomly, not for answers, just for anchor. Her eyes fell on a verse she'd underlined months ago back in Atlanta. "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you," she snorted. "Fine," she told the page. "You win." She stood, legs still trembling, but less like they'd collapse, and more like they might carry her somewhere she didn't fully understand. She stepped into the hall. Chong and Min straightened. "I'll let you walk me to work and home," she said. "I'll even let you hover when I go to meetings, but I will not hide in some secret apartment like I've done something wrong." "That is not," Min began. "If you insist on the safe house," she cut in, "you'll have to drag me there, and I will scream the whole way. In English. Loudly. Your choice." Chong pinched the bridge of his nose. "You and Director Kang," he muttered. "Same brand of problem." He sighed. "We can adjust," he conceded. "We will tighten routes, vary times, increase surveillance. But if the threat escalates—" "I know," she said. "If God closes the door, I won't try to pry it open with my bare hands. For now, this is open." Chong studied her, then nodded once. "Very well," he said. "But we stay close." "Thrilling," she said. "I've always wanted an entourage." Her joke fell a little flat. But when she went back inside to grab her bag, her hands shook less. She still jumped at shadows, but she chose to stay, and that choice mattered. The fight happened 3 days later. It had been coming, coiled under every cautious email, every guarded glance, every time security shadowed her steps. The press frenzy had not died down. If anything, it had found new fuel. Anonymous sources fed speculation. The foreign woman had a name now, and photos, and a trail of internet sleuths digging through her social media like vultures. Hanul held an emergency meeting with HR and legal, determined that Joyce had done nothing wrong, and released a carefully worded statement. "We stand by our employee, who acted as any decent human would in a moment of crisis." It helped, a little. The hate still leaked in around the edges. Joyce went to Kang Group headquarters that afternoon for a strategy session and a brief filming of a behind-the-scenes piece the PR director insisted they needed. She hated the cameras. She hated the way the crew kept trying to catch shots of her and Do-hyun in the same frame like they were shooting a soft-focus romance instead of a brutal corporate reclamation. By the time she made it to his private office afterward, she was exhausted. His office door shut behind them, the noise of the building muffled. He stood by the window, phone in hand, reading something with the rigid stillness of a man absorbing impact. "What now?" she asked, dropping her bag onto the couch. He turned the screen toward her. It was a photo of her, taken that morning as she left her building. Headphones in, coffee in hand, oblivious. The caption translated roughly to, "Look at this gold digger. Thinks she's the main character in a K-drama. How much did she charge him to jump?" She kept her face smooth by sheer will. "I've seen worse," she said. "Creative. Points for effort." "It's not just trolls," he said. "There's a petition. Anonymous, of course. Calling for Hanul to drop you. For immigration to review your presence. Lines about protecting Korean society from foreign destabilizing elements." "Wow," she said. "I've apparently become a plot twist and a national security threat. Multitasking." "This isn't funny, Joyce." "Who's laughing?" she snapped. He saw it then. The tightness around her eyes, the way her hand gripped the back of the couch. He put the phone down carefully. "I'm assigning more guards," he said. "Not just outside your building, at your office, on your commute. Anywhere you go, there will be someone watching." "I already feel like an escaped zoo exhibit," she said. "You want to add a tour guide?" "You're in danger," he said, sharper. "They tried to run you off the road last week." "That was a scare tactic," she interrupted. "Cars that size don't scare," he shot back. "They kill. If Min hadn't been 2 seconds behind you, you'd be in another ICU bed. Or a morgue." Her stomach flipped at the memory. Headlights in her rearview mirror. Sudden acceleration. The shriek of tires as a black sedan veered toward her lane. Min's SUV ramming in from the side to force it off. She'd gone home that night and thrown up until there was nothing left. She'd also gone to work the next morning. I came here to build my life, she said, voice low. Not to live in a cage because your family is crazy. You think I don't know they're crazy? He snapped. I've been raised on their brand of insanity since I could walk. Then don't make me live in it, she shot back. He took a step toward her. You are in the crosshairs because of me, he said. Because of my name, my war. You think I can just sit back and watch that? You don't get to decide for me what risk is worth taking, she said. You don't get to wrap me in bubble wrap and call it love. That's what they did to you with those pills, remember? For your own good. He flinched. That's not... Isn't it? She pressed. They fed you poison and called it protection. You were trapped in your own life because someone else decided what level of danger you could handle. Don't you dare do the same thing to me. His chest heaved. Anger surged. Not at her, but at the mirrored truth. I'm trying to keep you alive, he said. Is that a crime now? It's not a crime, she said softly. It's human. But I need you to understand something, Kang. She stepped closer, the space between them narrowing to a few inches. I chose this, she said. Every visit to that hospital, every lap in that rehab room, every meeting where I had to sit across from people who would happily erase me from your story. I chose to be there because I felt like God wouldn't let me forget you. But if you lock me away now, you take that choice away. He stared at her, the war inside him visible. His hand clenched at his side. You're the only reason I wanted to live, he said, voice dropping. Do you understand that? My father's will, the board, the company, that wasn't enough. I was ready to let it all go. And then there was your voice, your stupid jokes about hospital tea and your prayers you thought I couldn't hear. His throat worked. If something happens to you because of me, he said, barely above a whisper, if my name paints a target on your back and I watch you bleed for it. She could hear it in his tone, the edge of the bridge, calling him back, the old exit strategy, tempting as gravity. She moved without thinking. Then make my risk worth it, she cut in, voice firm but soft. Don't go back to wanting to die. Silence dropped heavy. Her palm was on his chest before she realized she touched him. Fingers splayed over his shirt, feeling the wild beat of his heart under her hand. He stared down at her hand like it was something sacred and terrifying. Up close, the scar at his temple was a pale slash against his skin. Her gaze followed it, then met his eyes. The air between them shifted. All the tension, the fear, the arguments, the late nights, the clashing wills, tightened into a single fragile thread. He reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing the edge of her jaw. This is a bad idea, he murmured. The worst, she agreed. He leaned in anyway. The kiss wasn't cinematic. It was a little awkward. He misjudged the angle. She bumped his cane with her foot. The back of her head almost hit the glass of the office window. But it was real, raw, hesitant, intense. Not lust. There was heat, yes, but it burned through grief more than desire. Two people who had been dangling over their own edges, grabbing onto each other like the only solid thing in reach. Her hand fisted in his shirt. His other hand found the back of her neck, anchoring her gently, as if she might disappear. The city glittered behind them, unaware. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. This doesn't fix anything, she said, voice shaky. I know, he said. You still have a crazy stepmother trying to murder your future. I know. I still have anonymous psychos trying to run me off the road. I know. He rested his forehead against hers for a second, just breathing the same air. "But I'm not going back to the bridge," he said quietly. She closed her eyes. "Good," she whispered, because she knew now. Her risk was not about whether or not she got hurt. It was about whether his life became something worth the scars she'd gather for standing next to him. The attack that night was cleaner than the last one. That somehow made it worse. Joyce finished late at Hanul, staying to tweak a storyboard when a last-minute email from the client, not him, one of the junior managers, requested a change. It was after 10 when she stepped out into the cool night air, Chong and Min flanking her. "Cars in the usual spot," Min said. "We checked the perimeter." Joyce stifled a yawn. "You know, before all this, perimeter was just a word I saw in action movies." "Yes," Min said. "Now it is in your vocabulary. Congratulations." She smiled despite herself. They reached the curb. Their black SUV waited under a street lamp, engine low. The first sign was the quiet. Seoul was never silent, but this stretch of road felt wrong. Fewer cars, fewer people. A stillness that made the back of her neck prickle. Chong's hand went up, stopping her before she could reach for the door. "Wait," he said. Headlights flared at the far end of the street. A sedan. Black. Windows tinted darker than legal. "Well," Min muttered, "that's subtle." The sedan accelerated smoothly. "Inside!" Chong snapped, shoving the SUV door open. "Now!" Joyce scrambled in, heart racing. Min slammed the door behind her and dove into the passenger seat as Chang slid behind the wheel. One motion. The sedan didn't slow. "Seatbelt!" Min barked. She fumbled, clicked it just as Chong slammed his foot on the gas. The SUV lurched forward. The sedan followed, a shadow in the mirror. "Can't we call the police?" Joyce gasped, gripping the door handle. "We can," Min said, already dialing. "They will respond, eventually." The sedan pulled up alongside them, engine roaring. "Hold on," Chang warned. The sedan veered closer, metal almost kissing metal. Chong jerked the wheel, keeping them just out of impact range. "License plate," Min said through gritted teeth. "I see it," Chong said. "Korean plate, corporate code, Kang's subsidiary." Joyce's stomach dropped. "They're not even pretending anymore," she whispered. The sedan swerved suddenly, trying to cut them off. Chong took the opposite turn, tires screeching. The SUV fishtailed for a terrifying second before the traction caught. Joyce's head smacked the headrest. Pain flashed. Min swore, flicking on the siren built into the SUV system. It wailed, slicing through the night. Other cars began to give way. The sedan fell back, then surged again. "We're near the police box," Min said, eyes on his phone's map. 2 blocks. Chong's jaw clenched. "They know that too." The sedan made one last push, lunging forward. Chang slammed the brakes. The sedan shot past, momentum betraying it. It clipped a parked car, metal shrieking, then swerved wildly to avoid a bus. For a moment, Joyce saw the driver's profile through the windshield. A man in a cap, face shadowed, eyes cold. Then the sedan disappeared down a side street. Chong exhaled, knuckles white on the wheel. Min spoke into the phone in rapid Korean, giving descriptions, coordinates, plate numbers. Joyce sat there shaking, fingers digging into the seat. "That was deliberate," she said. "Not a scare. That time, they meant it." "Yes," Min said grimly, "and we will use that." Do-hyun had never moved so fast in his life. Not through airports, not through boardrooms, not even through emergency drills for the company. Ji-hoon showed him the footage on a tablet in the car. the black sedan, the angle of approach, the license plate frame with the Kang subsidiary's logo. He saw the way the SUV reacted, the split-second decisions. He saw Joyce's pale face framed for half a second in a bouncing frame. Something in him snapped. The quiet, sickly air, the one who'd swallowed pills and apologies, who'd accepted fragile as a destiny, cracked open and let something fiercer out. By the time the Kang family driver pulled up at the gates of the main mansion, the mask he'd worn for years had burned off. Madame Kang's house glowed like a catalog of wealth, stone pillars, manicured hedges, warm lights tracing the driveway, a place meant for magazine spreads and charity galas. Tonight, it felt like a battlefield. He didn't wait for the driver to open the door. He stepped out, cane forgotten in the car, striding up the steps with more strength than he'd had any right to this soon. Adrenaline made up the difference. "Hyung," Ji-hoon called, catching up. "Breathe." "Later," he bit out. The butler barely had time to squeak, "Director Kang," before he pushed past. Voices murmured in the main sitting room. He followed the sound. Madame Kang sat on the sofa, teacup in hand, a magazine open, some society publication featuring a photo of her at a fundraiser, smile practiced. She looked up, surprise flitting across her face before smoothing into concern. "Do-hyun," she said, standing. "You should have called. It is late. You need rest." He slammed the folder onto the glass coffee table so hard the teacup rattled. The room went very still. "This," he said, voice low, "is what I need." Her gaze flicked to the folder, then back to his face. Slowly, she sat again, composure slipping back into place like a mask. "What is this?" she asked coolly. "Evidence," he said. She laughed lightly. "Of what? Your ingratitude?" He opened the folder. Neatly arranged inside, the toxicology reports, the neurologist's written opinion about long-term iatrogenic harm, copies of the guardianship petition where she described him as emotionally unstable and incapable of sustained executive function, a still from the traffic camera showing the black sedan's license plate and the Kang subsidiary logo, a printed screenshot of the anonymous text sent to Joyce. He slid each piece toward her, like cards in a game whose rules he'd finally learned. "I know what you've been doing," he said, "for years." "This is a serious accusation," she replied, eyes cold. "Be careful, Do-hyun. Brain injuries can cause paranoia. We don't want the board to—" "The board will see this," he cut in. "All of it. Unless you make a different choice." Her eyes narrowed. "Long-term sedatives," he continued, tapping the report. "Muscle relaxants, prescribed by a family doctor on your payroll, administered with tea only you insisted I drink. Funny, isn't it? How my fragile constitution always worsened when it benefited you most." "You had migraines," she snapped. "Seizure-like episodes. You were a danger to yourself. I was a danger to your plan." Silence. He leaned forward slightly, hands braced on the table. "The bridge was my choice," he said. "The pills were yours. You weaponized my father's guilt and my body to keep the company in your grip. You kept me weak enough to be grateful for your care, and too fogged to notice you turning my birthright into your personal playground." Her lips thinned. "Big words for someone who couldn't stand without help a month ago," she said. "Standing now," he replied. "Not thanks to you." He slid the traffic still closer. "And then there's this." She glanced at it. "A car," she said. "On a road. You'll have to be more specific." "A car from a Kang subsidiary pool," he said, "tailgating my security SUV as it escorted a woman whose only crime was dragging me off a bridge. Witnesses, plate numbers. The police have already been notified." Her gaze flicked to the staircase, where one of her aides hovered nervously, then back. You think I would lower myself to something so crude? She asked, voice dripping disdain. You overestimate my interest in your little hobby. His jaw flexed. You touched what's mine, he said. It wasn't said in the possessive, objectifying way of a man staking a claim. It was said like a warning. Joyce wasn't his property. She was his line in the sand. The moment you went after her, he continued, voice steady, you stopped hurting just me. You declared war. He met her eyes, letting her see the shift inside him. You wanted a puppet, he said. You got a son instead. Ji-hoon stood slightly behind him, hands in his pockets, eyes cold. Attorney Park, who had arrived quietly and now leaned against the doorway, watched with measured interest. What do you want? Madame Kang asked. Get to the point. Step down quietly, he said. From the board, from the guardianship, from all positions. Sign over every share you acquired under my father's name and mine through fraud or coercion. She laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. You think you can push me out of my own house? She said. I built this empire with your father. You decorated it, he said coldly. He built it. I'm done letting you turn it into a mausoleum for his guilt. She set the teacup down with a precise clink. And if I refuse? She asked. Then we go public, he said. Every report, every chart, every quiet conversation with doctors who've held their tongues too long, the poisoning, the guardianship manipulation, the attack on a foreign national under my company's protection, criminal charges, civil suits. The board will have no choice but to distance themselves if they want to survive the fallout. You'd burn your father's company to ash to spite me? She asked. I'd let the truth burn whatever can't survive it, he said. If the empire collapses because it was too rotten, that's on you. She held his gaze for a long, taut moment. Then she smiled. It was small and chilling. You've grown teeth, she said. I'll give you that. She leaned back, folding her hands. But you underestimate me, boy. Enlighten me, he said. You talk about truth as if the public cares, she said. They don't. They care about spectacle. They care about the story that makes them feel better about themselves. Her eyes glittered. And right now, she continued, the story they like is the one where the poor, fragile heir is bewitched by a foreign woman with a savior complex. His stomach nodded. Leave her out of this, he said. She tilted her head. She is this, she said. She is the soft point in your armor. What do they call it in English? Weak link. She stood by my bed when you staged photo ops in the corridor, he shot back. You don't get to reduce her to a footnote. Oh, I'm not reducing her, she said. I'm elevating her. Headline billing. Center stage. Her smile widened. Predatory. Imagine it, she murmured. Breaking news. Foreign woman exposed for blackmailing heir. Photos, texts, carefully edited clips. A tearful interview from a former friend who says she boasted about turning her little bridge moment into a golden ticket. Immigration will salivate. The board will panic. Your precious agency will drop her like a hot coal. His fists clenched. And what do you gain? He asked, voice low. Dragging an innocent woman through the mud? Leverage, she said simply. Fear. I remind you where power sits. She leaned forward, eyes boring into his. You want to threaten your own mother? She whispered. Fine. Threaten. You want to play with fire? Fine. Burn your fingers. She picked up the toxicology report and held it between two fingers like something distasteful. But understand this, Do-hyun, she said, voice soft and deadly. I will not lose everything I've built because my husband's bastard son finally grew a spine. The word bastard landed like a slap. He didn't flinch. And what if, she added, voice dropping even lower, I destroy your little foreign toy first? The room seemed to tilt. She smiled gently, as if she'd just discussed vacation plans. Run along, son, she said. You have a board meeting to prepare for, and I have calls to make. He stood there for a heartbeat too long, every muscle in his body screaming to lunge, to shout, to shake. Instead, he straightened. This was your last chance to leave with dignity, he said quietly. Next time, we won't be talking in your sitting room. He turned and walked out. Ji-hoon and Attorney Park followed, both silent, both vibrating with the tension of men who just watched a bomb get armed. Outside, the night air felt too thin. Ji-hoon spoke first. She won't bluff, he said. If she says she'll go after Joyce, she will. I know, Do-hyun said. Attorney Park adjusted his glasses. So what now? He asked. Now? He thought of Joyce in her tiny apartment, praying words she probably didn't feel to a God she refused to stop trusting. He thought of the kiss, the way her hand had pressed against his chest like she could keep his heart from stopping by sheer stubbornness. He thought of the war he just declared. Now, he said, voice steady, we make sure when she swings, she hits a wall, not us. And Joyce? Ji-hoon asked. He looked toward the city, toward the direction of her building, of Hanul, of every place she moved that now pulsed with danger. His jaw set. Joyce, he said, is not a weak link. He didn't add the rest aloud. She was the one thing he was no longer willing to lose, even if it cost him the empire he'd been born to inherit. Inside the mansion, Madame Kang lifted her phone, dialed a number, and smiled. Outside, under a Seoul sky heavy with smog and possibility, the next move in the war was already set in motion. The end. If you're ready for episode 8, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss it.
I was lost in shadows deep 어둠 속에서 I couldn't find the light I used to know 그대가 오기 전까지